Hey, welcome back to the next installment of the W Know. I think this is number 6, although why bother counting anymore? I've got Heather Cohen here today. Heather Cohen, what's going on?
Well, where should I start? How much time do you have?
Hopefully enough, but I'm sure we can make do with what we have. First off, tell me why you're here. Tell the listeners why I'm interviewing you today, who you are,
Okay.
and what's coming up.
Well, recently I was featured in a show that is on Discovery Plus. It's called Secret Lies and Private Eyes. And so myself and the other ladies that are featured on the show have just kind of been trying to get out there and spread the word and get everybody hyped and excited about the show. So go watch it.
I'm certainly hyped and excited myself. I watched the trailer for it, and I know you were talking about this back in the spring, you know, and I wasn't entirely sure what to expect because you kept referring, because, you know, you and I have known each other. We met earlier this year, you know, and you would mention, oh, I've got this show coming out. And despite the fact that, you know, I knew you, you were still very ominous to me. Like I knew very little about you. You know, I didn't know if this was something tangible or if it was just kind of a daydream. I don't know, maybe you were schizophrenic or something like that.
Okay.
She's
Explains a lot.
Yeah, she's amusing, you know, but I don't know if I'm ever going to see this fucking show. But no, the show is out, and it has an official trailer.
It does.
And a series that follows that trailer.
Yes, it does. And I'm pretty sure it's not a figment of my imagination, but then again, who knows?
I can't tell the difference between figments of my imagination and reality these days anymore. So, you know, you have good company and insanity. You're holding a gun. You got a great gun right there.
Thank you.
And you got a badge.
I do.
Look at that. So you investigate people. You're a personal investigator.
Private investigator, personal, whatever.
Private investigator. How'd you get into that?
Well, I guess the short version of that story is that I started volunteering in a missing person case back in 2011. And after a couple, I don't know, months or so of it, I realized I kind of had a knack for extracting information from people. Have you ever seen that show, Lucifer? On Netflix?
Yeah, I work at a youth rehab center, and those kids watch it religiously. Yeah.
So he has this way, it's like this hypnotizing thing. He looks at people and says, so what is it that you desire? Like, I kind of think of myself like that. It's bizarre, but like people just tell me things and I realize that. And
the devil wears pumps. Look at that.
But yeah, it's just this really interesting talent that I have of connecting with people. And I think law enforcement can be really intimidating, you know, and people don't like to talk to law enforcement, but you'll be really surprised how quickly they'll talk to a private investigator, you know, when they know that they can trust that person, that they're not in trouble. They're not going to get arrested. So yeah, I just kind of realized I had this gift and went with it.
All right. I mean, enough of a gift that they would make a TV show out of it.
Apparently. I don't know. People watch anything these days.
Well, I'm definitely going to be watching this. And I'm looking forward to it. Tell me about the show, because I watched the trailer. I deliberately did not watch the episodes. Having said that, I didn't know it was out yet, but I was sent the episodes by your manager. And I did not watch them because I want you to tell me, as well as everybody else who hasn't seen them, what I don't know yet.
Okay.
Well,
I don't want to, spoiler alert, I don't want to tell people, you know, what, because then they won't want to go watch it. They won't have to watch it.
Do you shoot anybody?
No.
Then it's not worth watching.
It does get pretty intense, though, a couple times.
Yeah, you had this really morose countenance at one point in time in the trailer where you're sitting down. You're almost in tears. I remember that shot in particular. I was like, what the fuck's making her cry? I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know she could cry. She's stone cold.
Of course. Well, so there's one major case that they follow of mine in the show. I'm actually one of 4 female private investigators that they're following in the show. And so I believe I appear in 4 of the 6 episodes for season 1. So the first 2 episodes, they're following one of my major cases. It's a criminal defense case. And long story short, the person being charged with the crime shot and killed another individual. And my job as part of the defense team is to prove that it was self-defense.
Okay. And was this the suspect that you went and saw this morning?
No.
Okay, because you were in court this morning.
Well, I was, but that's something different.
Okay. Are you allowed to talk about that?
That's personal, actually.
Okay.
So it's it's a cold case that I was working that I've actually been involved with now for 3 years.
Okay.
And the people that I was looking at, my POIs, so to speak, which means when I say that, I mean they're not necessarily law enforcement's POIs, but they were mine.
POI, what's that?
Person of interest.
Okay.
And so basically, they got real pissed off that I was investigating them.
What were you investigating it for?
A murder.
Murder somebody you know?
No, not somebody I know. It's a cold case. It's actually quite an old case, and I don't want to go into details too much about it. But it's a woman that was murdered back in 2011. And I got involved with the case in 2018. And I received some leads that pointed to these individuals, and I started investigating them, and they found out, and they didn't like that too much. And so they did everything that they could to try to veer me away from investigating them. And see, I'm the type of person that if you tell me nothing to see here, I'm looking harder there, So the more that they tried to, intimidate me and push me away from looking in their direction, the harder I looked in their direction. It ended up resulting in a lot of legal things, legal cases. There's a couple civil suits, and I filed a stalking charge against them. So that's what I was in court for this morning.
How'd it go?
It was, this is a second appearance where they were there, and both times they just stare me down. And it's a little intimidating. But, especially because, when you really think about it, it's like, okay, if I'm right about these people and what they, what I believe that they did and what I believe they're involved in, then, this is no laughing matter.
Well, you're surrounded by dangerous people, is what it seems.
It's never a dull moment.
No. Do you ever feel threatened? Do you ever fear for your life?
Yes. Yeah, I do. But I just pull up my big girl britches and keep going. And I just figure, somebody's got to buck up. Somebody's got to stand up to the bullies, so that's what I do. You can't let fear stop you. Sure.
I guess that'll be the major takeaway. Don't let fear stop you, because it hasn't stopped you yet. You're alive and well here. You walked in these boots and, this fuck you attitude, which, has clearly kept you alive for a very long time. Fuck you attitude, not toward me by any means, but
I don't know how, but somehow it's worked for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
and clearly, caused you to think I'm either schizo or.
Well, it takes one to know one, so don't take it personally. All right, so your defense, this guy, girl, whomever you are dealing with, is this who you're primarily dealing with on the show? Like when we are watching your segment, is it circulating around this suspect that you were on the defense team for?
Okay. Circling back around to the previous conversation, because that has nothing to do with the court today.
No.
Okay, just making sure. Yes, the major case that I'm working, it does circle around this one particular person, yes.
Okay. What did this person allegedly do?
Shot another man. And he does admit that he shot him. And
oh, really?
Yes.
I was about to ask you, do you genuinely believe that he did it?
Yeah. And he knows he did.
What did he shoot him for?
There was an altercation. And, I don't want to tell too much because then people won't have to go watch it. But there was an altercation. And the big question is, who was the aggressor? The big question is, did he shoot this person out of self-defense, or was it, cold-blooded murder, basically?
Mm-hmm. And obviously, you at very least are sympathizing with this man to the degree that you feel distressed when you see that he is in jeopardy.
Yes.
Yeah. So you believe that there is some kind of human pathos going on in there, despite the fact that he had to take somebody's life for one reason or another, whether it was, justified. Everybody always says justified as if it's some kind of a tangible thing to, objectively declare, when in reality, it's like if somebody's dead, if somebody's murdered because of one moment, it's like, how do you really define what is justification, what is not? You know what I mean? Does it, is it justified if there is any sort of malicious intent? How do you know if somebody wasn't just capitalizing on the opportunity to kill somebody that they didn't like in the first place when nobody else was there? And I'm just speculating here. I'm not making any sort of grand sweeping declarations about anybody who's been in that position, because obviously I haven't, or at very least I have not been caught yet. I bury the bodies deep enough.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So I need to be looking at you. No.
Good luck. Okay. It's funny. I make these jokes and I realize how often people take them seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I guess I have to be careful because I made a lot of jokes about being a virgin recently. And hey, Tony, what's up?
I can tell by looking at you that is a lie. I don't even need a statement analysis expert for that.
That is the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. But no, it was funny because I was actually with Tony the other night. I was.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like with him? How?
It was Tony.
What are we talking about
listen,
right now?
can you come over here and explain that? Can you speak into the mic? All right. Thank you very much. I'm so happy.
About?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm dumb for believing him, but I think Luke successfully duped me. And because I didn't, I don't know, maybe I trusted you too well, unlike other people. And he would always joke about being a virgin all the time. And I think it was on Louis' episode. And for some reason, I was just like, oh, really? I don't know. I'm not going to judge anyone for their past. And apparently I don't know them well enough.
Well, anything's possible.
Except me being a virgin, apparently.
Yeah. Very high, highly unlikely is all I have to say.
Oh, that's, again, nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. No, I'm not a virgin, and there are, plenty of...
Look out, ladies.
Just say plenty of animals out there who can attest to that, but it's another joke nobody should fucking take seriously. I'm sorry, I'm done with virginity and bestiality jokes. I want to hear about what else is going on. So shit, man, like there's only so much you can divulge right here, right now, because no one's seen the show. But why did they decide that they were going to make a show about what you're doing? Why was it so interesting? And how did they compile different personalities into one? You guys all work for the same person or what?
No. Okay. And it's interesting because they came to me and I received an email one day asking me if I would be interested in doing the show. And maybe I'm kind of like you in the way that I'm pretty cynical. I don't always, it probably has something to do with the fact that we live in Nashville. Like prior to this, I was an aspiring musician, of course, because everybody in this town, you've got doctors / musician, lawyers / musician, whatever. Everybody is a musician also, in addition to whatever it is they do in their real life. Sorry to all the music. I don't. And then there are just musicians.
Of course.
But you get what I'm saying.
Well, I know you are a musician as well.
Well, thank you. But
a good one too.
But thank you. But as a musician in this town for many years before I, got my degrees and my license and all that, I kind of learned that you just don't get excited about anything until it's actually happening right in front of you.
That's so damn true.
I can't tell you how many times I got record deals and you can't see my fingers floating above my head in these quotation mark, but these, how many times I get a record deal and I make this big announcement and tell everybody, hey, I got a record deal, and, get so excited. I'm about to be on the radio and go on tour and stuff. And then it'd fall through and you just feel, so stupid, just for telling everybody. So I was with the show. I really didn't get excited about it. And the producers kept asking me, are you excited yet? Because I'm just, whatever. And I didn't get excited until it aired. And then I'm like, oh, okay, it's really happening. But I don't even know if I just answered your question.
Well, I would have ultimately asked the question that would have required the answer you just gave me anyway. But how did the show actually come to fruition? Who looked at you and was like, yeah, I want to make a show about you?
Right. So I guess that's I got a little off, but that's kind of where I was going. Like, they just reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be one of the PIs that they feature on the show. And I was like, yeah, okay. All right, sure.
Okay.
Whatever. And, like I said, didn't get too excited about it, but they did this like elimination process where they interviewed, I don't know how many people, but so many people. And then they kept saying, okay, you've made it to the next round. You've made it to the next round. And then boom, you got it. So, and like I said, it was myself and Renee Brewer is also from the area. She's from, I believe, Hermitage. But the other two private investigators are from the Atlanta area, I believe. But, the funny thing is that I didn't know them and they didn't know me. And I actually didn't even know who was on the show other than me until it aired and I watched it. And Renee and I have since linked up a little bit, and she's sent me some work, which is really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very interesting how it worked out. I think I've made some new friends from it, but I didn't know them prior to.
Sure. And that's great. That really is. I mean, like you said, you're working with a few other women here, Renee included. What are their other cases? What are they investigating? Is it all murder?
Well, let's see. I have the one major case, and then they follow me on 2 bounty hunting gigs. No, actually 3. Sorry. They follow me. And so that's, episodes 1, 2, 4, and 5 that I'm in. And then the cases that they feature are, I know I think there's a missing person case, maybe. There's a missing person case, and I want to say 2 murder cases other than mine. And then there's like 1 or 2 cheating spouse cases.
All across the spectrum.
Yeah. And there's even one where a guy ripped somebody off and they're trying to hunt him down. And
okay.
So I think they did a really good job of I think they did a really good job of showing the various things that a private investigator can do.
Sure.
Because it is a lot.
Yeah. This is an organic dose of what actually goes on in the world of private investigating. You know what I mean? It's not just grabbing all of the bells and whistles and the pizzazz and throwing it right in everyone's face and saying, look at how intense this is. I actually admire the fact that they can make it interesting to make a spectrum of murder to cheating spouses because, when all is said and done, both things piss people off, depending on which situation you've ever been in. No one wants to get murdered. No one wants to get cheated on, but yeah. So,
but when it happens, you should call us.
Okay. I'll bear that in mind if I ever get murdered. What's a situation you've ever been in when you have actually feared for your life? You know what I mean? Where you've actually thought you might have to use that gun on your hip?
There was a bounty hunt that I was on here in Nashville. It was the Bordeaux area. And I was just hell-bent on finding this girl, which...
What'd she do?
I mean, she had a rap sheet a mile long, and I don't remember specifically, but, I was looking for her because she had jumped her bond. But, she had many charges in several counties around Nashville. And so I want to say she had several warrants out for her at the time. And
how old was she?
Maybe late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
Not terribly old, but she was hiding out in some pretty sketchy places.
Like what? Crack houses?
Yeah, trap houses. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And so I was pretty much camping out in Bordeaux looking for her because I knew the vicinity where she was staying, and she was running the streets and I believe doing some, turning some tricks and stuff.
Sure.
And so I was watching for her. And there was a person closely associated with her, who was a gang member. And he was getting really upset because I was pretty much stalking them. And so other gang members and drug dealers in the area were getting pissed off at them because they felt like they were bringing heat to the neighborhood, to the area.
Were.
Mm-hmm. And so he got pretty aggressive with me one night. And
so he knew who you were.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I had talked to him a couple times. And that night he was leaning in my car, and I know he had his hand on his gun. He hadn't pulled it out of his pants yet, but he had his hand on it, and he was, calling me names and threatening me.
What was he calling you?
White bitch,
No.
Whatever.
He went there.
Yeah, fucking white bitch, get your ass out of here. Whatever he was saying, I don't remember. But I mean, of course, I'm just like, hey, dude, like I'm not, I'm not a threat to you. I'm not after you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's cool, And he's like, no, you're, because I guess it gotten kind of bad for him and his girl, and like, I think his girl actually got hurt, and it had something to do with them knowing that I was there because of them, and so. Yeah, I honestly thought I was reaching for my gun, and I honestly thought he was going to shoot me. So
sure,
that was pretty rough. Yeah, I left after that. And that it wasn't. I had worked that case for so long and never found her. The cops did end up getting her eventually. I want to say a week or two later, and probably had a lot to do with them for me. Because I had been filling them in on where she had been spotted and stuff, but I didn't get her, which means I didn't get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And all that time,
you got compensated by being able to live another day, I suppose. If you want to look at it one way,
I was paid with my life, but
your lovely schizophrenic life.
Yes,
that's the next show you should do. My lovely schizophrenic life.
Schizophrenic life. Yeah.
You and all your one character that is like 10 characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the voices in your head.
True
what have
story.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sometimes, because I worked several cases at one time, and just even last night, I actually called my client first thing in the morning, told her, and I'm like, I don't know if I should be telling you about my dreams, but it's like I eat, sleep, and breathe these cases. And so of course I dream about them also. And as I'm going to sleep, it's like, I'm running through all the things, and it is kind of like voices, because I'm replaying conversations in my head over and over and over. And it's just this constant noise.
It's got to drive you insane sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, does it take a kind of person to actually be able to endure that?
I think so.
That kind of high strung lifestyle. That
Absolutely.
Is, I mean, there's no, if you want to look at it a certain way, there's really no slack to that string where, I mean, you know that you're going to have to go back into a certain situation. And I'm sure it's not always life-threatening situations, but I mean, for the love of God, you got to hide in the shadows. You know what I mean? Consistently. And
what's funny about that is that my mentor is Sheila Wysocki. I love her. I just love her to death. She's a wonderful woman. And I met her through that case I was telling you about earlier in 2011 when I got involved, and that's kind of what led to me becoming a private investigator. She was the PI that was hired by the family, and then the family connected me with her, and she became my mentor and all, so the story goes. But Sheila taught me in this profession that the best place to hide is in the spotlight.
Oh,
not in the shadows, because
it's like the Michael Corleone thing. Keep your enemies closer.
Well, and I think, with dangerous cases, it's like the more people that know, don't be quiet, because then they do away with you. They've done away with the problem. It goes away.
Sure.
But the more people you tell, and, you get in front of the spotlight and you make sure that everybody knows what you know, that's the best place to hide.
It's a camouflage effect.
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
Very poetic. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I really admire this. Again, this is something that you talk to me about a lot. Like, you say, oh, I'm down in Atlanta investigating this person. I'm down, as if you were going out for coffee or something like that. And I'm like, Jesus, what an interesting life. You know what I mean? And it really is remarkable because you've done a lot. You have. I mean, you were a musician. What else have you done? Because I mean, you got a tattoo on your belly because you were on Ink Master with Dave Navarro.
I was actually on Ink Angels.
Oh,
Ryan Ashley, which is way better than Dave Navarro.
Oh, it's better. It's not better. It's not worse.
Well, you know who Ryan Ashley is, right?
I know who Ryan Adams is.
Well, Ryan Ashley.
I know who Ryan Kneisel is. That's my friend.
She's a female tattoo artist.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. She's just, I have a girl crush on her.
All right. Do you like women?
I can't, no. I appreciate women. I appreciate the female body, of course.
Sure.
It's much more, graceful and beautiful, of course, than, male body. But, I mean, there's a difference between appreciating and, like is such a loose term. Do I get down with women? No.
Okay. All right. So we cleared that up.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And I'm married now, so I don't get down.
Yeah, you just got married, didn't you?
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. When did that happen?
September 24th.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, my parents just celebrated their 35th anniversary Sunday.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
It really is. I told him, I said, what the hell's wrong with you guys? Why don't you take a break or something like that?
What the hell? That's horrible advice.
I know. Maybe that's why I'm 30 years old and not married myself. But no, they're...
30 is so young, though.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
Who's counting, right?
Again, yeah. I mean, episodes, years of your life, might as well not count. Just live.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so far, so good for both of us, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
You were just married.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you guys do? Did you elope or what?
Yeah, we just, we're both, he's 39, I'm 44, and we've both been married before, and we really didn't see the point in the bells and whistles and, making a big deal of it.
That's great.
Our family would just be like, oh, God, everybody'd throw their gifts at us and be like, oh, have a nice, life.
Mm-hmm.
So we just figured it, just made a lot more sense to just do it.
Good for you guys. Yeah, I've seen pictures of this guy. He looks like he could fuck somebody. He looks like a bounty hunter himself. Yeah,
well, he has a very Viking look about him.
Yeah, he does.
He's got the long dreads and the tattoos, and I think he's my type. I mean,
sure.
If so many people have said, when they see pictures of us, like, you two look like you're made for each other.
Pretty much, yeah.
I need a real savage, and he's definitely that.
Yeah. You got the Thor and Helen of Troy from hell is, what we can call you too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Congratulations to you. And if you're listening, what's his name? Chop.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Chop.
Congratulations to you, Chop. That's great. All right. So you private investigating, musician, all of these things. And you also used to strip. Is that right?
You want to go way back. This is going to be, of all the interviews, this one's going to be like the most, arguably the most interesting and controversial.
We're not going to waste each other's time. That's the idea.
No, might as well be real. I actually wrote a book, so it's not something that, I'm trying to hide. I think that our stories are the most valuable thing that we own in this life. They make us, our experiences, our lessons make us who we are. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be here without those experiences. So I'm not, closed off to sharing them.
Sure.
In fact, I love to share them.
Here's your chance.
Huh?
Here's your chance.
Yeah. So I was a troubled teen. I had a lot of problems at home. I started running away very early in life, and I got wrapped up in the juvenile system and spent the last 2 years of my youth in a children's home. And then...
What's your youth? You mean like 16 to 18?
No, actually in Missouri, where I grew up, 17 was when you were an adult and able to live on your own. So when I turned 17, they opened the door and said, see you in the adult system.
Okay.
And I flipped them the bird, said, the fuck you will.
Hell yeah.
And somehow or another, I managed to, stay out of it. I don't know how, because I probably should have gone to jail a time or two, but...
Instead, you send people to jail.
Right.
In your stead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but, it happens. We all, you live and you learn, and trial by error. And so, yeah, I got out of the children's home and I started stripping at 17.
What was your stripper name?
I had a couple. I started out Sierra, and then I was Raven. And
oh yeah, Raven. Yeah,
I was Raven for many, many, many years. In fact, I feel more like Raven than Heather.
That's cool.
Honestly, I have a huge Raven tattoo on my back, and so I started out Sierra, then I was Raven, and I went to LA, tried to pursue an acting career for a while, and LA chewed me up and spit me out.
LA has a habit of doing that.
Oh, Lord. I honestly, if I'd stayed there, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Sure.
I think I'd definitely be dead. But I was there for a little under a year, went back to Missouri, continued stripping, and I stripped for a very, very long time.
Probably made a shitload of money, didn't you?
Oh, if I could have that money now. Oh my gosh. I mean, it wasn't nothing but a thing back then to, go to the bar and blow $500 on a tab for me and all my friends. And,
Sure.
That's when it didn't. But now it's like, my gosh, if I could make $1,000 in a night, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And not really have to do anything for it either. I'm not trying to like promote like, hey, girls, go, get us a job at the local strip club. I'm not trying to glamorize it or anything because it is,
you meet some troubled people.
Yeah. It's rough. It's a rough crowd. It's a rough life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the hardest part of it is to treat it like a job and not a lifestyle.
Sure. A lot of drugs, what have you, and
a lot of opportunity to get caught up in bad things.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said, you're from Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
You probably can't mention any names or anything, but no. some you spent time in rooms at very least with some affiliated people.
I know where you're going.
Naturally,
and, yeah. I grew up around some very Italian men. Luke's Italian.
Yeah,
so.
My paisanos.
Yeah, but
so's Tony.
That was to me, I dated a couple of mafia guys, and dare I say that, and I mean, to me, it was like the sexiest thing in the world. That kind of just bad boy power, like I thought that was really hot. But looking back on it, it's like, wow, I really, I'm just lucky. I'm lucky to be here.
Sure, I suppose a dance with the devil is a very hot dance, but ultimately, he will outdance you.
Yeah. But a lot of friends weren't so lucky.
Sure. So you know people who have actually died.
I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because of their affiliations with the affiliated.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to say that it's because of, we'll just do those quotation marks again. They committed suicide.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. With the cinder blocks on their feet, committed suicide kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. I don't, don't know, don't want to know. That's my stance.
Sure.
Don't know, don't want to know. Have I had some thoughts and some speculation? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, and that's as far as I want to take it. I don't want to know.
Well, if there's anything you guys do want to know, read her book.
Right.
What's your book called?
Memoirs of the Justice Warrior.
When did you write this?
It was a work in process, or I'm sorry, it was a work in progress for a very, very long time. And that's awful because it's under 100 pages. But I wrote it and rewrote it so many times over the past several years. And I did remove a lot of what you were just talking about, that was originally in the book. I ended up taking a lot of that out because I just didn't feel right to talk about. And I didn't really see the point in it. But what I do talk about is kind of just my upbringing and my home life, my childhood, and how it evolved into, just kind of the domino effect of my whole life. And then,
sure.
And then it ends on, talking about some of the cases that I've worked. And it's a part one. It's going to be a series. So,
your book, you mean?
Mm-hmm. So I already have part two started, and I do plan to talk about some of my cases, but I just can't. Some of the things that I want to put in part two, I can't talk about yet.
Of course.
So I'm waiting for these things to kind of come to fruition before I can talk about them.
A lot of ominous energy around what you're doing, what you have done, and I think that plays in your favor in the sense that where you say, I can't talk about this, people are going to want to know in the spectrum of things, so that really does work in your favor very organically. And it's funny because, people talk about those who have grown up in the quote unquote system as if they know a damn thing about it, when in reality they fucking don't.
Right.
You know, you say you were in group homes. You say people looked at you and said, see you in the adult system, and you said, fuck you. That kind of thing. And it's a very funny, ironic twist of events in the sense that, you know, everybody was saying, you're going to be in jail. You're going to be a jailbird. You are now exacting justice, so to speak. And I think that's a really cool thing, and furthermore, a beautiful poetic thing. And that's why I want to get to know you in this regard. I want people to get to know you, is because, you know, there's so much to the, you know, primordial origins of somebody. Because obviously you're here now, you're very composed, you're very successful, and you're very kind and what have you. And I think that there's a lot of forces at play presently and in the past that has, you know, that have brought you to this point. I'm really happy you're here. And I don't know, I'm just rambling on, but I you know, that's why I wanted to know all these things about you. It's very fucking exciting.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I pegged the term justice warrior. I've actually got it tattooed on my clavicles here.
Sure.
But, you know, in a way, as you were talking, I was thinking, in a way, I'm more of a intervention. Like, I feel like what I do a lot of is intervening in injustice, which is, you know, fighting for justice in a way, but people don't always understand what justice means, you know.
And how would you define justice?
Well, justice is, I mean, obviously it's being held accountable for wrongdoing, but, you know, a lot of times people get so gung-ho about they just want somebody to fry for certain things. And, you know, they get so gung-ho about it, but, and they hate the people, you know, like myself, the defense, that are, you know, trying to prove this person didn't do it, or it was self-defense, or whatever it is, you know, whatever it is that makes them innocent of this crime.
Sure.
But it's just as much of an injustice for the wrong person to fry, or a person who was just trying to defend themselves to fry.
Who was it who said better? Oh, Christ. It was something to the degree of, you know, better 100 guilty men go free than one innocent man, you know, go to jail, essentially. It was, I think, I should know this because I'm like such a fucking libertarian, but I believe it was one of the you know, the founding fathers who said that. That's just what came to mind.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Because essentially when an innocent man loses his life to the system, when he goes to prison for a crime he didn't commit, then another life has been lost. So, I mean, it's the same. I mean,
well, that's a really interesting thing that you say that, because it is an unpopular opinion to sympathize with the quote unquote defense in that regard. And I, you know, because everyone's like, well, you know, you're a scumbag. You're defending this person who did this. You're just trying to get them off and what have you. And I think that there's more to it than that. And I spoke to a friend of mine who was going into defense law in that regard. And this was years ago. And she and I were sort of saying the same thing in the sense that, you know, it keeps the justice system from, like, a big part of defense keeps the justice system from running strictly on hysteria, in the sense that somebody that everybody wants to believe is guilty and deserves every bit of the hammer
based on media.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, you know, our entire system of justice is based on everybody getting a fair trial, you know, and you know, all the evidence being acknowledged, and nothing going unaccounted for. And I feel that is the primary purpose, you know, the venerable purpose of the defense, in the sense that you're making sure that everybody is getting a fair trial, because quite honestly, even if criminals are not getting a fair trial, ultimately that is going to bloom into innocent people not getting a fair trial, in the sense is that we are deliberately dismantling the prosecuting system because we want to believe that somebody is immediately guilty and furthermore deserves, you know, unabashed punishment.
Guilty until proven innocent instead of the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, really, the public needs to be more hands-on. People need to be more hands-on and more aware instead of just taking what, is put in front of them as gold,
Yeah.
When you really start to question and look at the facts and dissect things and think for yourself, it's really eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, because a lot of the cases that I've worked, I've found some serious problems with the investigation.
Sure.
Where, I find myself having to question the integrity of law enforcement. And that's really important. I mean, there has to be a checks and balances because, if the people are asleep and not paying attention to, their elected officials and the authorities and, what they're doing, then that's how they get away with corruption. I feel like, I'm scared to say the word, corruption.
No, I completely agree.
But there's a lot of it. And, I'm going to have to do some referral to Boondock Saints because
bring it on because you got your new Boondock Saints tattoo here.
My burritos.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But in Boondock Saints, the pastor in the beginning of the movie, he's saying, that there are two types of evil. And he's saying, I can't quote because I can't remember the exact words, but he's basically saying
I think I can because when I was 16, I was obsessed with that movie. It's like, oh God. What he ends it with, there is one other kind of evil, the indifference of good men.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Thank you. The indifference of good men.
It's so funny. I love that you bring that movie up and then that you have the tattoo because I do still love that movie, but it's like the shittiest movie.
I love it.
I do too.
I just love it.
It's like a friend of mine was making fun of me recently. He's like, dude, you were so obsessed with that stupid movie when you were in high school.
Movie ever.
It's a great movie. It is, but it's one of those shitty, awesome movies. It's a cult classic. You know what I mean? The story's kind of cheesy and everything.
Clockwork Orange. You're like, wait, why?
Oh, no way. We're not going there. Clockwork Orange is gold. Stanley Kubrick, we will not hurt him. No.
But it's like everybody's obsessed, but it's like, why? Why?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny. It's also kind of ironic because in that movie, they're taking justice into their own hands. You know what I mean? They're discarding the penal system because they think that it's flawed and what have you. And it is, in many respects, it very much is. But that's why I really admire the work that you're doing is because you are reinforcing this system of ideally rigid checks and balances. You know what I mean? That everybody kind of wants to discard, especially right here, right now. Everyone has a right to be pissed. You know what I mean? Whether it's murderers, rapists, sex offenders, you name it. Mm-hmm. But it can be very dangerous to just assume somebody's guilt based on the fact that they probably did it. Like that is the reason why we have that's why we have the justice system that we do. And it's not ideal by any means. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it's the same notion of a scientific inquiry where it's like, unless we have the proof, the reasonable proof to back a fact, then unfortunately this fact is kind of null. You know what I mean? Or at very least it doesn't level up. And that's why I think that this is a very important rehashing of the justice system. And it's a great thing to have you here to talk about it because you're obviously very intuitive in regards to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. But yeah, back to what we were saying, the indifference, that is just as bad. And, people need to really be more aware of what's going on with their, hometowns. Or, some of these cases like Gabby Petito, it's a really big deal right now. It's a national case and everybody's obsessed with it. But I think, and that's...
Can I tell you the truth?
Yeah, you don't know what... Yeah.
I honestly, because I have deliberately sort of tuned out of the news at this point in time. I know fuck all about this. So do me a favor at very least. Everyone's probably laughing at me right now for saying I don't know.
Gabby Petito.
What the hell's going on with that? Yes.
Okay, well, Gabby Petito was, I believe, 22 years old, and she was on a van life road trip with her fiance, Brian Laundrie. And Brian returned to his home in Florida in the van that actually belonged to Gabby without Gabby.
Oh.
And they did end up finding her body. And Brian is since missing also, presumably running from the law. The FBI is looking for him.
And from Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Dog
Go
the
figure,
Bounty
that's what I
Hunter
know
is
about it.
Look, I would be out there looking for him, but I'm just kind of like, okay, everybody and their brother is looking for him.
Yeah, and you had to be on this podcast. You didn't have time to go look for him
Right.
today. Yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't. But yeah, and I have gotten message people who are like, hey, go look for him. Yeah, you know what? But here's the thing. This guy's off the grid.
Sure.
And, he's probably moving constantly.
Yeah.
My guess, maybe taking little cat naps here and there, but he's not staying in one place for any amount of time. And he's probably in the middle of the damn woods somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, it blows my mind how people can still remain incognito when everybody's looking for
I don't think it's that hard, really.
I guess not, because
you just can't be attached to anything or anybody.
I suppose so. Which, I mean, when it comes down to it, given the fact that it is the 21st century, we rely so much on society to survive. If the law doesn't get you, the elements will. And I don't know. Like I know of a kid who some people knew locally that was shot last year in his own home, and the guy who did it, no one has any fucking idea where he is. You know what I mean? He drove away. No one has any idea where the fuck he is.
Really?
Yeah.
Might have to find out about that one.
Oh, you could be double the hero. How about that?
Yeah. Okay.
I know that there would be a lot of people.
It sounds like something I would be really interested in.
You may have heard about it. I don't know. I don't want to use any names, just out of respect for the family at this point. But
we can talk about it afterward.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I think all of this is so interesting, and that's a big reason why I, sort of, at least up until this point, I didn't do because I like to research my guests. I didn't do a ton of research, maybe because I know you, but I didn't do a ton of research on exactly what you do, because I want to have an organic conversation. I want to learn, as much as anybody else, and this is great.
Cool.
So
this is very different. This is, out of all the interviews I've done, this is very different than the rest of them, which I like.
How
I think
so?
it's cool. Like you said, it's just organic, and it's also a little bit because I knew you already. So
have any of the other interviewers held your gun?
No. Most most of the other interviews were like over Zoom or whatever. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten the Zoom thing down yet, so we're just going to have to deal with person-to-person conversation now.
I like this.
Yeah.
I was disappointed when I found out that I wasn't going to get to actually go interview in person with Access Hollywood.
Yeah, you just weren't Access Hollywood.
Yeah.
What's that all about? What happened there?
Oh, dude. Okay, so like my husband, who at the time we weren't married yet, but he called me and he said something about it, and before he could even really say anything, I said, my high school crush said my name.
Who?
Mario Lopez.
No shit. Tony's laughing.
Slater. Slater said my name.
That's awesome.
He's not, he's old now, but
whatever.
But he's still Mario Lopez with those big, huge dimples, and that
love
you could
of my
like
life
get lost
is
in.
56, Monica Bellucci. I'm still madly in love with her.
And wouldn't you like your heart skip a beat if she said your name?
My heart would stop beating entirely. You know what I mean? Entirely. Yes.
Yeah.
So you were on Access Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Did you talk to Mario Lopez?
No. The lady that interviewed me, which now I feel bad I don't remember her name because there's been a few interviews at this point, but she interviewed me, and then Mario Lopez and the other gal. I'm sorry. I don't remember her name. And, they just like played the clip, and he said. Mario said, "These ladies are on next level," and then I kind of blacked out when he said my name. So,
no shit.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
They reached out to you then.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So this really is the real deal.
Yeah,
that's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely on the top 10 list of cool things I've done.
Well, what's the next cool thing?
Man, I got to sing with Vince Gill once.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you really are like a Nashvilleian.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. It was at his private golf tournament. And see, when I was doing it, almost everything goes back to that case in 2011. But when I was working that case, I was doing some fundraisers for the family.
Mm-hmm.
And Amy Grant and Vince Gill were two of my top contributors for items that I was selling, auctioning off the silent auction for the funds for the family. And so I kind of got to know them a little bit, which was really cool. I have a picture of Amy Grant teaching my son how to hula hoop.
No way.
Yeah, it was really neat. They're really down to earth people.
That's
They're
awesome.
Very, very cool. You can just have they don't seem like celebrities. You can just have like a normal conversation with them. As a matter of fact, boy, we're getting off topic, but this is really cool. And it just shows what kind of people they are. And Amy,
Sure.
I was sitting at their kitchen table and I was telling Amy about the case. And at that time, they still hadn't found this girl's body, which has since been found. And the
Are you
guy's
talking
been
about?
convicted. It's the Holly Bobo case.
Oh, I got you.
Mm-hmm. And Amy was asking me about it. And I was telling her, how, because I had been talking to the family pretty regularly. And I was telling her how hard, Karen, Holly's mom, was taking it, and she was having a really hard time. And Amy felt so bad for her that she said, "Well, I have a private concert tonight at the factory in Franklin. Why don't you call her and ask her to come? I'll give them VIP, and it's a very small private event, but And I said, "Well, I got a good idea. Why don't you call her? Why don't you ask her?"
No shit.
And she did. And Karen, bless her heart, I still to this day, I love that woman so much. And she's just a wonderful mom and a wonderful person. But Karen wouldn't do it because Amy Grant and Vince Gill were two of Holly's favorite artists, and she would not go to the event without Holly. And at that time, Holly hadn't been found. So she was like, well, she told Amy, when Holly comes home, we'll come to one of your concerts.
That's tragic and beautiful.
It was, it's really tragic. Because as you know, she never came home alive anyway. And so it was, really, and I don't believe they ever actually made it to one of Amy's concerts. But being the people that they are, Vince and Amy were very empathetic to that family and were trying their best to kind of ease their pain a little bit.
Sure. And you got to get on stage with them.
I did. Oh yeah, that's where this all started. But so at the private golf tournament, which was quite some time after all the fundraising and everything, but Vince and Amy still knew me. I can call him Vince and Amy.
Sure.
But
well, you're on a first name basis.
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And like Rascal Flatts was there, and Lone Star, and all these big. So they all got up and they sang, and Amy said that I could get up and sing too, once everybody else had gotten up and done a song or two. Very end of the night, I was the last person. And oh my gosh, I'm such a dingbat sometimes. So I really had to go pee. I really, really had to pee. And I was trying, I didn't want to get called to stage, and be in the bathroom because, this was up in a tent up on the hill, and the bathroom was clear down the hill. In the whatever, I'm not I don't belong to golf clubs, so I don't know what they actually call that area, but whatever. So I went down to go pee, and lo and behold, my fear came true. And Amy calls me to stage while I'm in the bathroom.
I thought you were about to tell me you pissed your pants or something.
No, that probably would have been better. It probably would have been better than this because my friend came running down, and she's like, "They're calling you to stage. They're calling you to stage." And I go running up, and I said, "I'm so sorry." Amy ended up singing a song, because she's like, Heather, crickets, Rascal Flatts, all these, big names just got up and sang. They didn't make Amy Grant wait. But me, nobody knows who I am. I'm just, lucky enough to get a spot. So I did get to go up and sing, even though I'd missed my call
What
originally.
did you sing?
I sang Proud Mary and Whoever's in New England.
No shit.
By Reba McEntire.
That's really cool.
And Vince played guitar for me and sang backup with me.
Wow.
Yeah, Vince Gill sang backup.
That's super
for
cool.
But yeah, so anyway, this and that are probably the two most, the coolest things, the highlights of my life.
That's really cool.
Other than my children, other than giving, having,
Sure. And you have how many kids? 3?
I have 3, but they're not really, my 2 oldest aren't really kids anymore.
Yeah. How old are they?
Well, Haley was born in 95, so that I quit keeping track. She's like, what's that make her?
26?
20, yeah. Yeah, and she's got 2 kids of her own now, and she's married. And then Paige was in 99, so I think she's 20. Yeah, she's 22.
Sure.
Quit counting on her after 21.
Yeah, of course.
If I keep counting their age, then I have to keep track of mine. And,
Right, but you're 44, you said, and you still look great. You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you're aging like wine.
But so my girls are older, and like I said, I have 2 grandkids, and then,
I can't. Okay, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you hear about the hot grandmas. You know what I mean? But, like, to meet one in the flesh, it's like a celebrity. So,
Oh, that's funny. My husband calls me a gilf. I don't know if I should say that out loud.
well, just if you're going to go that far, what is it? What does GILF stand for? We all know what MILF stands for.
A grandma I'd
like to fuck.
Freak with.
Yeah. I was hoping we could just say that at the same time.
No, you know me. I don't cuss. No.
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
Mm-hmm. I almost made you do it. Yeah.
No, I have a potty mouth.
Sure. And, that's I don't want that to sound like a condescending question by any means, but, you say you have this ability to extract information out of people. Do you think it's because you are very attractive, because you're hot? You know what I mean? And because people, like, they find it endearing, you know what I mean? Or because they want to trust you because for whatever psychological reason, it's like, you're drawn in by somebody's attractiveness, and therefore in a weird way, you trust them.
I think it might be a combination of things.
Mm-hmm. Not strictly that.
I hope not.
No, that's not what I'm getting at. Because obviously, you have a personability and you have a tenacity with the way that you communicate and, your work ethic first and foremost. But I mean, as far as garnishments to that, I can't imagine it hurts. You know what I mean? I
think, maybe my appearance might be a little bit disarming, you know, and maybe in some ways people don't really expect me to be all that intelligent, maybe.
Unexpected.
So, yes. Yeah. And sometimes, honestly, it's it helps to play dumb.
Sure.
Playing dumb is a talent.
So you're the good cop.
No. I mean, I can be both.
Yeah.
But no, I think I am. I'm both.
Sure.
And it's a lot of it's probably discernment on, what is going to get through, like, reading people. That's part of it. Like reading people, okay, is, a softness, genuineness, kindness going to get through to this person, or is being tough and, kind of just bucking up and showing them like, I'm not scared of you.
Yeah.
Which is going to work with this person.
Sure.
Sometimes you got to try one and that doesn't work, try the other.
Of course. And, I learned that even in my job, working with defiant kids, is at times, you have to do the Tony Soprano thing, but, it sounds pompous, but at other times it's, listen, empathy is the name of the game in all walks of life, I think, at least to a degree. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I've been told that you catch more flies with honey as opposed to vinegar. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't consider that. They want to feel like an alpha, when it comes to being commanding of a situation. And we've seen enough movies to, want to believe or be inclined to believe that being tough and, like flexing your muscles in every situation is going to get you what you want. But in reality, it's that composure and it's that, like we said before, that camouflage element, not to say that it's robbed by any means of sincerity, because you also, I think, have to understand that this person is in pain. You know what I mean? And they are in a very tough position. And no matter what the situation is, whether they're guilty, innocent, what have you, is they're human and they fucked up. And to ease some of that pain for one reason or another, obviously, first and foremost, to get information, but also to make it more bearable for yourself and for them, is a part that kind of goes unaddressed throughout the questioning process or the getting to know process. And you're clearly a very empathetic person because you became close to this person that you are on the defense team for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Which is, I think, also a testimony to the defense element, in the sense that you genuinely care about somebody. It's not strictly for political or financial gain, in the sense that you will actually cry over this person, if it comes down to it. And that's awesome.
I think everybody should try to just see people as humans, And that's what I try to do with this job. Like, I don't care if you're the president of the United States, which let's not go there. But, I don't care
after the interview, you and I can.
Okay. But, I don't care if you're the president of the United States or an ex-convict or a janitor or whatever. Everybody's human.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's made mistakes. Everybody has, things they don't like to talk about from their past.
I agree.
And just looking at people as a human, that, okay, this person's made these bad choices in their life, or they've been on this path. And there's a difference between making excuses for people's behavior and just really taking into consideration, the domino effect, the events that led them in that direction.
I completely agree. Completely agree.
Getting to know somebody and kind of, just looking at everybody as human and thinking to yourself, instead of, oh, that piece of shit, oh, that junkie, that prostitute, that whatever, like actually thinking to yourself, I wonder what happened to them.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing when you can be patient enough to actually do that. And furthermore, intelligent and intuitive enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's not excusing anything that they've done, but it's also, and I think this is a big thing too, dismantling the tendency for a society and a media to build them up to be larger than life, more than human. And you saw this with Charles Manson. You know what I mean?
Right.
I read Helter Skelter when I was 16. And I mean, the whole thing was like, it built Manson up to be this demigod.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When in reality, he was a sick, fucked up man. He was a sick, fucked up man who took an advantage of some sick people. You know what I mean? And by building somebody up to be more notorious than or like strictly notorious, you're surmounting to their power.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an adverse effect to it all. And I always look at this, for true crime junkies out there, there's the Helter Skelter effect and the In Cold Blood effect. Truman Capote wrote In Cold Blood about a murder that took place. And that's...
I love Capote.
Oh, he's great. Have you read that book?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's so fucking good. It's great. And you know what? It's written in this novel format in the sense that obviously these men committed these atrocious murders. It was awful. A friend gave that book to me a while back and I read it fucking 4 years ago, something like that. But there's also this element of humanity where kind of like you, Capote became rather close with one of these men and he was able to humanize them and not by any means to, alleviate the caliber of their crimes, but also bear in mind, these are human beings.
I saw the movie.
Yeah, and it's great. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I love him. And it was such an effective way to relay a true crime story. Oddly enough, was to look at these men as misguided human beings who messed up. You know what I mean? And I mean, there's obviously more to it than that. There's malintent and there's maliciousness and what have you, but it really does cut down on the hysteria of it all when you don't make them larger than life. You just look at them as the raw material of a human being that was misguided. And it's much more effective that way, I think. Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to the intro of my book is literally, it starts with talking about a dream that I had years ago. And it's funny because I'm absolutely not a Scientologist. I'm not into that. I get all the stuff in the mail and whatever, and it goes straight in the trash. Like, no, not interested. I'm sorry. Tom Cruise, you ruined it for everybody. But
and then John Travolta saved it for everybody because he made it so much cooler, right? Yeah.
But sorry, guys. I probably shouldn't say controversial things like that, but it is the devil, so
exactly.
Why not?
Horns up.
But the dream kind of actually falls into line with some of the Scientology belief, I believe.
Sure.
And that is, so in this dream, I'm in a line, and this line is just going on in both directions for as far as the eye can see. And there's one person in front of me in this line, and I know I've been here for a very long time, and there's this big building that looks kind of like a courthouse in front of me. And as the person in front of me, who's a man, he gets to the front of the line, and somehow I know that he is going in front of the judge of judges. He is going to meet his maker. It's the judgment day.
This is very existential, very Freudian.
Yeah. And this is a real dream that I had. And I mean, years ago, but I'll never forget it. It was so profound to me. It was a defining moment in, I think, my whole morality and belief system, changed the way I look at people. And so he gets to the front of this line and his life plays out on this huge projection screen for everybody to see. But it doesn't start with the day he took his first breath. It starts with the day he took his last.
Oh.
And it works backwards. So you're seeing all these horrible things he did. And he had spent most of his adult life preying on innocent people, doing bad things to women and children and, whatever, just very, very rotten man. And I'm just, you're standing there and you're thinking, I hope this guy burns in hell, what a terrible, awful human being. And you're just, feeling very judgy. I say you, but me, just very judgy. And then as it goes, further back and further back, and he goes into his childhood, and then you see these horrible things that were done to him as a child. And my dream ends with me falling to my knees and begging God, have mercy on this man, for we have all been through hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it, and it's like, it just was, like I said, profound for me, because it made me realize that we have all, like, I mean, I honestly think sometimes that we are, and, in hell, there are good things about, life and whatever, but it's a lot of strife and a lot of hardships. And I've seen a lot of people in just the most unimaginable amount of pain, with my job. And I was the Tennessee State coordinator for Q Center for Missing Persons prior to becoming a PI. And one of the things I used to do was go to the annual convention every year. And one by one, all these families from across the country would get up and tell their horrific stories about their loved ones being, either missing or murdered, and, and just these. And I just remember, and Monica Kaysen, she's the founder, and she used to have me sing every year for the convention. And it was very difficult, like just standing up there and feeling that energy and knowing that everybody in the audience was just like in the most, like I said, unimaginable amount of pain. And it was really hard to sing and not, I would leave that convention every year just sick as a dog, like all of my energy gone. Like I'm physically sick because it's so hard. But we've all been through so much, and that's why it's like, if I can leave this podcast with one, profound message, let it be like, be nice. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what this person has been through. Let's stop judging each other so harshly.
Entirely. Because, I know I've done plenty to be judged about myself, and
like never having sex, like being a virgin.
That's me. Never will. Mark my words either. No siree.
Never.
Thank you guys
that would be a miracle and probably the best decision ever. But
it'd be a cold day in hell, right? Yeah.
Maybe.
But virginity aside, because I know I'm going to hell for plenty of reasons, but at least I'll know it's not for sex, because no way. If this is hell, I will say that if the world we live in is hell, I'll take it. It's really not so bad. And I'm very much looking forward to the show. And I hope that anybody who's been listening is as well. So it's going to be on the Discovery Channel, is that right?
It is currently streaming on Discovery Plus.
But nonetheless, guys, this is Heather Cohen, Cohen, as if there was any mix-up. Maybe two ways to spell Cohen. I'm sorry.
You'd be surprised how people spell it sometimes, though.
My legal last name is Lacricchio, so...
Okay, I don't even...
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to try.
Case in point. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say, like, I feel like I'm Raven more than anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm Luke Holden. I forget my fucking legal name is not Luke Holden, But
if
I'm
I
okay
could
with
legally change my name, I would too. Oh, I guess I could, but I mean, there's really no point in it.
Yeah, there's no if.
But I mean... I probably should have years ago changed my name to Raven, because I'm not a Heather. Well, Heathers are like, oh my God.
I mean, it's a great movie though. Heathers is an awesome movie.
Yeah.
From the 80s. So, hey, Raven, Heather, whatever. Check her out, guys. She's a really interesting person, and clearly
and not schizophrenic.
I can neither confirm nor deny. Listen, thank you so much for being here, and thank all of the personalities in your head too, as well. All the voices. what have you.
When I have time.
Yes. Heather, it was so good to see you. Guys, check it out. What's the name of the show again?
Secrets, Lies, and Private Eyes.
Damn right. All right. We'll catch you guys next time.